Yeah, you knew when your local cities and governments, especially here in Texas, were so eager just to kill any rights you may have had. And you weren't sure what it was. And people told you, oh, it's probably got to do with money. Oh, no, it doesn't have nothing to do with money. Article in the Statesman: Coronavirus in Texas. Governor Greg Abbott and counties square off over relief money. This is from today, posted 7 a.m. It's funny the stuff they wait till 7 a.m. Sunday morning on Memorial Weekend to release. Isn't it interesting? As Central Texas communities aim to rebuild their economies with the pandemic lockdown easing. Rebuild your economy. These economies are destroyed. And there's a pandemic. They're calling it a pandemic. Look up the definition of pandemic. So we know Tony, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Plohetsky, he's a liar. Okay, as Central Texas communities aim to rebuild their economies with the pandemic lockdown easing, a behind-the-scenes money grab is playing out as cities, counties, and the state vie for federal coronavirus relief money. The issue pits Governor Greg Abbott, whose office has discretion over how to, now listen to this, folks, how to dole out $8 billion. Oh, you see, they were promised to get some of this money if they just turned their backs on the citizen rights, and they'd get a payoff for it. And I'm sure this money's going to trickle down to you and me, right? Kind of like the SBA loans that ran out after a couple weeks. Sure. Against urban county judges who are fending off smaller cities in their jurisdiction locked out of the money the governor oversees. In Travis County, those communities include Manor, Bee Caves, Cedar Park, Leander, and Pflugerville, where the mayors find themselves begging county officials for a share of federal cash. They're like, we did so good. We took all our citizens' rights away. We did just as you asked. We made all the requirements. We shut down all the businesses, but for Target, Lowe's, and Walmart and H-E-B, we did everything you asked us to do. Now where's our settlement? At stake are plans in those cities to pump money into local economies. How do you think they're going to pump money into your household? Come on, this is a joke. As restaurants and shops try to resuscitate their businesses, as if these guys cared about our restaurants and shops. This is just a foolish article. This is why Statesman is almost bankrupt. Look at this paper. This is pathetic. The tension began this month after Abbott unveiled how he, in conjunction with other top officials, was going to divvy up money. Based on its population, Texas won $11.24 billion of the $150 billion coronavirus relief package passed by Congress. This is all freshly printed money, of course, so you're going to smell the ink on it, and it's going to immediately devalue the money, any dollars you had in your account. And it's going to increase the cost soon enough. Sooner. We have a little bit of depreciation because everything's bunkered down. Of that amount, by federal statute, 8.2 billion was sent directly to the state's 6 cities and 12 counties with populations greater than 500,000. The city of Austin is getting 170.8 million, and Travis County is getting 61.1 million. Let's keep a close eye on these sheriffs and politicians and make sure they don't walk out with any of this money. Well, keep an eye on what they buy in the next couple weeks. You got to keep an eye on their garage. Or nearly $200 per person overall. Oh, it's going to each person. Okay, so we lost our jobs. We lost our economy. We lost our rights. All for $200 per person? Are you serious? Listen to this. Somehow this makes sense to your elected officials. That left about $8 billion in play for state officials to work with. The governor's office, working with Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, House Speaker Dennis Bonnen, Republican Angleton, and lawmakers on the Senate Finance and House appropriations committees, including the Democratic vice chairs, decided to make $1.85 billion available to Texas' 242 other counties and the cities within those counties, relatively lightly touched by the pandemic. Those areas get money at a rate of $55 per person. This is so stupid. The rest of the federal windfall will stay in state hands. Large counties, Abbott and the other state officials announced May 11th, are expected to use their funds to address expenses incurred by incorporated areas with a population less than 500,000 that are located in those counties, as well as the needs of residents in unincorporated areas of those counties. Leaders of the large counties cried foul. In a May 12th letter to the governor, Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins said, "It is disappointing to see your administration has deliberately excluded cities and counties who did receive direct appropriation from the U.S. Treasury." Jenkins continued, "Please consider a more equitable distribution method and the amount of relief funds your administration has chosen to deploy during this unprecedented public health crisis." And May 13th, Travis County Judge Sam Biscoe, joining his counterparts from 10 other large counties, asked the government to amend their decision to allow cities in most populous counties who have been more impacted by COVID-19 to have the same access as other cities to these critically needed funds. In a response Friday, the governor and other legislative leaders wrote that the federal money was meant to provide resources for both state and local government or responses, not local expenses alone. As your letter implies, Texas has led the way in creating a framework to share those resources with local governments. According to a May 18th tally by the National League of Cities, Texas is one of 16 states allowing some smaller cities to apply for transfers of federal coronavirus money. At least 32 other states are withholding funding from most municipal governments, including all small and rural municipalities, with no indication when or if funds will ever be made available. 2 states are allowing transfers to county governments, but are excluding municipal governments. The federal money is supposed to pay for necessary expenditures due to the COVID-19 pandemic and not be used as a source of revenue replacement for budgets already approved. It is our expectation, and we feel certain it is the expectation of county residents who live in cities within your county, that they be treated equally as citizens in the unincorporated areas of the county, Abbott told, and legislator leaders wrote in their response. It is unreasonable to demand additional dollars be allocated locally at this time. It's so funny because they're arguing about money me and you are never going to see. This is their little money. This is money for the people who, during Memorial Day weekend, shut down the big, huge parks that can park 350 people, and they only allow 100 people to come into the park, and they just shut the park down for the weekend, basically. Remember that when things come up on the election for the parks funds or the local Jonestown Police Department votes and all that. Just remember what they did this weekend. We won't be forgetting it here in Cedar Park and Jonestown. It is our expectation that you will work with the smaller municipalities within your jurisdiction to allocate money for them in a fair and equitable manner. Meanwhile, the small cities are pressing county judges for a share of the federal money. In a letter to Biscoe on Monday, the mayors of more than a dozen Travis County communities representing 133,000 residents asked that the county share with them more than $26.2 million of the $61 million in coronavirus relief money the county had received. We have eagerly worked alongside the county for months now to help ensure all of our residents are safe. Let me just add, to lock down your own citizens and make sure they have no rights, and to push the fantasy flu is what he's done. And now he wants a payoff for it. Well, maybe these guys will learn a lesson from this. Don't go with the BS that comes down from the feds on these promises that you better do what they say or you won't You won't share in the victors here. We have eagerly worked alongside the county for months now to help ensure all of our residents are safe and well informed with regard to regulations that affect them, they wrote in arguing for a share of the money. The only fair way to spend this money is to break it down and to give it to each citizen who paid taxes that year and wasn't on welfare and wasn't in prison. That's the only way I see it. Yep, that includes kids too. The letter was signed by the mayors of the Bee Cave. This is the dumbest mattress commercial ever, by the way. Make sure you never buy Puffy versus Purple. This is so stupid. Okay, the letter was signed by the mayors of Bee Cave, Briarcliff, Cedar Park, Jonestown, These are all cities that shut our businesses down, treated us like we lived in Germany. These are pathetic cities, all of these. Leander, Manor, Pflugerville, Point Venture, Rolling Wood, San Leanna, Sunset Valley, Village of the Hills, Valente, and Westlake Hills. Let's see here. We're trying to get as much money down to the local municipality level as we can, Mayor Larry Wallace Jr. told the American Statesman. He's the Manor mayor, by the way. The mayors want to shore up vulnerabilities and emergency needs as we prepare for a second wave of infections. Oh, wait a minute. See, it's already planned, folks. The second wave. We haven't had anybody sick in the first one, but they're already getting ready for the second one. Folks, it's time to leave the country. Or at least move out into the sticks and, start your own farm. Or it's time for the people to stand up. How about that? Or set our economies up for less of an impact once all this resolves. Oh, please. That's your mayor, your Manor mayor there, guys. He's part of the guys that are pushing for the second wave of fantasy flu. Larry Wallace Jr. Keep that name in your mind, okay? Better look him up. Cities like Manor, he said, don't have the cash flow and revenue to protect families. Thank God, the kind of help they're giving families would be better if they had less money. Help families that risk evictions or crippling debt as state emergency orders on debt forgiveness and eviction suspension cease. Folks, they're not helping anyone. Let's just be honest. Why can't I do a mutual aid agreement with a couple of our local restaurants, Wallace said. We could say, you're getting this money. Why don't you let the restaurants go back to business and get out of their way? So this is what they do. They create a problem, and then they come in and have this wonderful solution that's idiotic. We're getting this money to provide aid for a vulnerable population. Not only are family members cared for, but you're funding a business to stay open. Folks, that's not really going on. Former Travis County Judge Sarah Eckhart, we've heard that name before, who is acting as an advisor to Bisco, said guidelines from the U.S. Department of the Treasury indicate those cities should get their pass-through from the state. For now, Abbott, who has virtually full discretion on the matter and has the advantage of checking in with legislative partners. By the way, let's make sure to get this guy out, Abbott. I mean, this guy's a joker. He actually got them beady black eyes. He actually looks like a demon, too. You ought to see this guy. Appears to be in the catbird seat. We have designated our budget, said Eckert, and who is running as a Democrat in a July 14th special election to replace former state senator Kirk Watson in an Austin-based district. We have, I can barely read that word, something raked out all of the emergency reserves we have. He is having us fight among ourselves for a diminishing amount of money, but we want to be in partnership in our cities. So we are looking at ways we can work together. Yeah, whatever. Travis County is planning to use about $10 million in small business grants. Folks, you're never going to see this money. This is BS. And $10 million in utility assistance. So it basically goes back to the utility governments anyway. So that's money earmarked to go back into the monopolistic controlled governments there. the utility departments. This is funny. Officials are still evaluating other uses for the money, Eckert said. County commissioners, yeah, they might consider getting themselves a raise and a new boat and maybe a Corvette and a new vacation place, and we'll just see what they do for themselves. County commissioners might consider asking cities to make proposal for the kinds of programs they would like to be funded using the county money. Just give it back to the people. Anything else is going to become political. Thank you.